Jamie, thank you both so much. Today, the State Board of Education convenes in Orlando.
This group is going to be voting on a number of controversial policy changes. Fox 35's Randi Hildreth joining us live this morning. And Randi, we're talking first about this discussion that is expected to happen on social studies standards today. So is that related to the AP African American course that we've been hearing about?
So not entirely. So specifically about what they're voting on today, the standards, how teachers and what teachers can talk to students about as it pertains to Black history, as it pertains to the Holocaust and geography. So, and that is between kindergarten through 12th grade. AP African American Studies, we know the big conversation about that. One that was just with high school students, and the College Board came up with those standards and what students would learn in that. So somewhat separate. But the reason today's conversation is important is because school board leaders at the state level, again, are going through and saying, this is how students should learn and this is what students should learn about these certain topics. And so they're creating that rubric, and they use that, again, to go back to the AP African American Studies to say, okay, this is what we have deemed appropriate and this is what we have not deemed appropriate based on state law and based on the guidelines set forth. And so this is how the conversation about AP African American Studies and today's standards kind of come together in moving forward.
Randi, let's talk about how they're discussing a possible ban on TikTok, an app that's widely used, but some pretty broad restrictions that could go with that.
Well, we know across the nation there have been a lot of conversations about this, concerns about data and privacy. And so what they are doing is saying, first and foremost, if you are getting a district-issued Chromebook, if you're an administrator and have a district-issued cell phone, you can't download TikTok on that. But I thought it was really interesting when I was looking through the agenda and the attachments. There's also a line in there that says if you have your personal cell phone and you have TikTok on there and you are downloaded or connected to the district's Wi-Fi, they don't want you to do that either. And then we also have seen in the education world, school leaders and teachers integrating social media into activities in the classroom, connecting with parents in the community. Well, there's also some language in there that says school districts, teachers and staff, they do not want you using TikTok to communicate information to the community about clubs, about extracurricular activities, about athletic events going on. So they are cracking down across the board. So definitely some interesting topics coming up today.
Absolutely. Now we're talking about local school districts saying they might tell the kids no phones at all, which that would eliminate the TikTok issue too.
Right.
So, right? Yeah, it's fascinating, Randi.
A lot going on.
Has to stay in the backpack.
Yep, big changes. All right, thanks so much. Fox 35's Randi Hildreth is live right outside the meeting this morning. Good morning to you, Randi. And let's talk first about some of the topics on today's agenda, because some of them people would consider to be controversial, and that includes updating guidelines for teachers when it comes to talking about gender and sexual orientation.
Yeah, so what they are voting on today, one of the items is essentially kind of like the teacher's code of conduct, their rule book about what they can and cannot do. And so they are amending one of the rules, adding some additional language. When I look through it, one, it has updating that teachers have to limit discussion about pronouns, she, her, he, him. It also has language about teachers not using the bathroom of the opposite sex. And these additional items are included in, again, the big code of conduct that also has information about teachers limiting, restricting discussion about gender identity, sexual orientation in all grades. There are a couple of exemptions, very few exemptions. Those topics may come up in state-approved reproductive health courses or in a health class where a parent can either opt their child in or opt their child out, but very limited restrictions. And in this code of conduct, not just what they can't do, but the consequences if they violate these rules. At the very top, it says if a teacher is found in violation of these things, not only could their certificate potentially be suspended, that certificate may be revoked. So that's a big item today.
So, Randi, they're also going to talk about TikTok today. There's some pretty broad restrictions when it comes to this. Very popular app among kids, but you and I have been talking about this. One of the other things they're saying is maybe banning cell phones from the classroom altogether, so that might kill two birds with one stone.
Potentially. So state lawmakers, one, have said students have to keep those phones away during instructional time. Yesterday, I was talking about some of the discussions with Orange County Public Schools where they wanted those students to have those cell phones away from bell to bell, not using them until the end of the day. So potentially killing two birds with one stone. But with this one in particular, one, if you have a district-issued device, if you're an administrator and have a district-issued cell phone, if you're a student and have a Chromebook that has been assigned to you, you don't need to be downloading TikTok. They don't want you to do it. Also very interesting, if you are at your school site, have your personal cell phone, it has personally owned device in that rule, and try to connect to the Wi-Fi and use TikTok, they don't want you to do that either. There is also language that says, I know the school districts try to engage with the community using social media. They don't want you to use TikTok to do that either. There's been a lot of discussion about TikTok and data and privacy, and so they're trying to hamper down on that.
Great advice and interesting coverage out there today. We're going to, of course, be following that meeting all day long, Randy, so there'll be a lot more to learn throughout the day. Thank you. Yeah.